Hi there, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere today. I just wanted to present to you an interesting response from Justin Rounds when talking about Candice Cooley and more specifically how one has handled the Dylan Rounds case. Maybe this video will put things into a better perspective as to how things are in the background with certain relationships of people. And when I say relationships, I don't mean it quite in that way, but how people get on well with one another, the communications too, right? Specifically, the parents of Dylan Rounds. You know, there has been talk and research done by others throughout time, hinting and suggesting that one or the other of the family members is a bit dark and shady, or other points being made that they don't get on well and one person hates the other. I mean, I've seen claims over time, not me, but others, stating that Justin Rounds detests or hates Candice Cooley, and there's all kinds of awkward atmospheres going on in the background. Well, besides all that talk, with time, let's say it from the point of view of Justin Rounds and what he truly thinks about Candice Cooley. It might surprise some people out there, okay? Take in mind this is a public post from Facebook. That's why I'm covering it today, and it is in relation to the Dylan Rounds case, hence why it's being covered, right? Just like last night's video and the one before, it ties to the case, and that's what I look at, right? If it means putting things into a clearer perspective, whether it be about Dylan or a location like Montello, some of the people tied up in the case, or family or friends, right? If it can help make things a little bit clearer, then it will be done, right? Whether you see it as clearing up the trash as we go along from all the talk and backchat in the past, and now just making it a bit easier to understand, that can be done, okay? So we're going to analyse briefly a post by Justin Rounds on Facebook most recently, supposedly tying in line with Candice Cooley's birthday, right? That's probably the reason for it. Check the odd comment out if there are any to look at there. Also later, we'll be checking back at some of the comments from last night. If there's any questions, I'll try and answer them. If there's any additional interesting information, I'll acknowledge that too. And then later I will be addressing some points because I'm starting to sense some kind of pattern, right? I'm going to say it as vague as possible because it could apply anywhere, any place, any time, okay? It doesn't so much apply to regular, long-time viewers and very supportive people. It's not aimed at any of those, right? So just understand that. I've just, as you know, I pick up on patterns and I sense things that may be starting to change or shift in a direction, a level of pushiness from some and demands from others, especially from freeloaders. That will be addressed later, so make sure not to go anywhere. For those that are currently here in this live premiere, be sure to share your thoughts and opinions in the live chat box about this. You can talk about other stuff as well, but it'd be appreciated if there's a level of focus today, because a bit of an important point, right? Compared to what's been said in the past, you know, it might surprise some people here, whether it be people are surprised by the naturalness of it, or if some sense that there's another reason behind it, well, you can react in the chat. And if you wish to elaborate, or if you're watching, go and catch up, leave your comments down below in the comment section. Down below, you'll find a pinned comment if you want to check out additional links with regards to my channel. And if you do want to support this channel, but in an anonymous, practical way, the link will be down below and clickable from there, okay? Is there anything else to address before we continue any further? I mean, if you want to catch up on the recent videos, what I've done to do with Dylan Rounds, click the eye symbol, top right corner of the screen. You'll be able to locate the videos from there. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get straight into this latest post by Justin and see what it's all about. So here is Justin's page, posted publicly 11 hours ago. The caption to the photo. In the photo, middle of the screen is Candice Cooley. Justin Rounds says, "This is my ex-wife. She has worked so hard to fight for our son Dylan. I have put my foot in my mouth numerous times, but she keeps going strong. Today is her birthday. Happy birthday, Candice Cooley. Okay. So we can check the comments out in a second, but we'll just briefly analyse this. Besides Candice Cooley's birthday and Justin Rounds wishing her a happy birthday, it's because it's to do with Dylan, right? Working hard, fighting hard for our son Dylan. Justin Rounds is acknowledging that. And whilst that may seem like a normal thing to do, in the eyes of the general public, some out there, or quite a few with time, who have criticised Candice Cooley or criticised Justin Rounds, or maybe criticised both together when it comes to working on the case and, just going along with it and trying to search for their missing loved one, Dylan. It shows a sense of positivity here and maybe a form of connectedness, but maybe there's the odd line that may stand out to you, right? So, general public have said Candice Cooley hasn't worked hard, she hasn't tried much, she's been lazy compared to the likes of Justin Rounds. That's what other people have said. But Justin Rounds himself is saying that Candice Cooley has worked hard when fighting for their son Dylan. This is the thing, and I have said it before in the past, I'll repeat it once again. Not that it's 100% true, but one way of interpreting it could be Justin Rounds might be more action, less talk. Candice Cooley is more talk, which then translates into action down the line by others making changes or stepping on in. To make that example a bit clearer, Justin Rounds could be more physically boots on ground, searching for Dylan. Candice Cooley doing that too, but more so focusing on the legal side, the police, the LE, the courts, the media, news outlets, trying to keep Dylan's case and name alive and trying to reach out to these key figures and authorities so they know what's up and what they should be doing next or what they could be, and Candice Cooley trying to push for that so there's change or there's more direct action when times of it feels like there's stagnation, right? So I understand it from both sides there. It's interesting how Justin Rounds acknowledged that he has put his foot in his mouth numerous times, but Candice Cooley has managed to keep things together. So that's another positive there, which Justin has raised. We'll just click here. So you got happy birthday. But I think there was maybe one interesting comment by Brian saying, Justin Rounds, it takes a big man to publicly admit and own what you just said. That is one of the many reasons I have the utmost respect for you. So it basically seems like that Justin Rounds, or at least in his mindset, he feels like he has messed up at times within the case, maybe losing control or calling people out when it's probably not necessary, needed, or it could harm the case. Stuff like that, being a bit too vocal at times, not often, but at times where it could be somewhat damaging. Justin Rounds is acknowledging that and saying that Candice Cooley has it controlled, holds it together better. But, equally, I'd say both Justin Rounds, Candice Cooley have managed to get this far and, being in the situation they are, which is difficult, but still managing to go on. There might be blips along the way, whether it be Justin or Candice Cooley, either one or others out there. It's natural. It can happen. It's just interesting. It shows like Justin Rounds seems to respect Candice Cooley. I mean, we can make another reference point very shortly. We'll get round to that. Just wanted to see if there's any questions, do you know what I'm saying? About Dylan Rounds, more so happy birthday, positivity. Okay, so that appears to be at that. See, I just wanted to share this with you because it is in reference to Dylan's case. Be sure to let me know your thoughts about that post. As small as it is, it shows like signs of positivity, Justin's outlook on Candice Cooley, and Justin Rounds' own self-reflection upon himself and how he's handled and dealt with stuff within the case of Dylan Rounds for this length of time. Do I think Justin Rounds has messed up here and there? Maybe not so much messing up, but maybe speaking out just in the wrong way at times, but it's understandable, just like how it is with Candice Cooley at times. It happens, right? But The example I just wanted to highlight, which is a contrast to what we've seen now, something from the past. Maybe it doesn't matter as much now because what matters is the present, but just to acknowledge it, to put in perspective how things have changed and maybe attitudes and outlooks have on one another. You remember in the past when we looked at that post by Justin Rounds' Facebook page, public, sharing a screenshot from a text conversation DM between Justin and Candice Cooley at a time where Candice Cooley was calling and telling Justin Rounds off for speaking out too much and calling out Don Hatley publicly that could harm the case. And Justin was like answering back as well. Seemed like there was a form of arguments, disagreements, didn't look too good, looked a bit tense. And then another post by Justin where he was calling Candice Cooley out, saying the only time when she cares about Dylan and when she shows up is for the cameras. Only after, when Dylan went missing, Candice Cooley supposedly cared about their son. So some exchange of words back then, and it was done publicly at the time, which probably was a bit messy as well, right? I think the likes of Jim Terry and some others really pushed a certain narrative because of those text conversations and showing that there was clearly some kind of dysfunction going on. But you take that into mind from what was happening back then, you compare it to now, I'd say that it has shifted in a more positive direction, which is obviously good because if there's better communication and people can get on better together, there can be more efficiency when it comes to a case, working together, distributing information and just understandings between one another. Whilst it might not be able to happen completely in the community, if it can happen directly within the case, such as with the parents or family members or friends of friends, then I'm sure that's more than enough. And to be honest, I did start seeing a form of positive interactions between one another, Candice Cooley and Justin Rounds, right? Regardless of what's happened in the past, at the time of the Dylan Rounds case, you could argue and say that they were brought closer together, right? In the sense of trying to, for the teamwork aspect and try and find their son. So a negative like that has brought them closer. Even if there were disagreements and arguments in the past, it's kind of, pushed that away. It seemed to show up more visible, the positivity, right? Being on the same wavelength, appearing more natural would be, I'd guess, was it 3rd of March onwards? 3rd of March onwards, 2023, where it's mentioned about Brenner being charged with murder and desecration of Dylan Rounds and Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds being in that interview, East Idaho News with Nate Eaton, and when asking about, has anything else happened, and them acknowledging that Brenner was supposedly willing to open up and tell them the location of where Dylan Rounds was buried, although you could interpret that as a negative moment by turning the offer down, or at least having that mentality and attitude of, no, we're not going to make a deal with the devil, we're going to do it ourselves. But equally, they're going to make it harder on themselves, which some people still don't understand till this day. The only positive about that was that both Candice Cooley and Justin Rounds agreed on that decision. It wasn't one-sided, as some people make it out to be. Justin Rounds himself spoke on his own terms in that interview and spoke more than what he has done in the past, right? Justin Rounds himself highlighting the importance of the confidence within at the time and also having that pride and that dedication in finding their own son and not allowing the person that took their son away in the first place to then find them, because it wouldn't quite feel right and feel like they're betraying their own son, as Candice Cooley and Justin Rounds highlighted. So they were both individually talking there. It wasn't one person doing all the talking, the other one nodding their head, as it was perceived at the start of this case and through the beginning of the interviews on East Idaho News. And sure, there was that one time, I think, on Duty Ron with Texas EquuSearch during some live stream panel call-in where Justin did a single individual interview by himself and he was able to talk there, which was good to see. But whilst that hasn't happened as much since, or not at all, at least when Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds have been in the same room and have done interviews, they've both been individually speaking. Not as much of over-talking one another or more one-sided. It's not felt quite like that as much now. And whilst Justin Rounds may have seemed more reserved in the past, with time he started talking a bit more, which you could consider a positive. You know, there could be just slight changes. It might not mean that much. It might not be that important. But if you're talking about that positive post, what you see today on Justin Rounds' Facebook page and acknowledging Candice Cooley, it kind of links back to that wavelength seen in 2023, a few months ago or so, right? And even after 3rd of March, the next time, I don't know if it was October, November, probably would have been before November 2013 for sure, maybe September, October. It's when they was doing that, what is it called? Not a preliminary, it was, the arraignment, I think it was, the arraignments, one of the hearings with Brenner appointing of his attorneys when you were in that messy situation, and parents went down, was it in Brigham City? Could be. East Idaho News, Nate Eaton was there too in the audience, and it was on record. They showed a bit of it from that news report of where Brenner was stumbling on in, right? Supposedly injured his leg, or that long-term injury, as we've heard the stories from the past. But Candice Cooley, in that interview after the court hearing, sensing, was it played on? Was it exaggerated? Was it all fake just to make people feel sorry for him? And maybe that is Candice Cooley being a bit too cautious there and exaggerating a little bit, but Justin Rounds seemed to think the same exact way. And he added on and explained with his own thoughts. So it does seem like Justin Rounds can think for himself, and it was seen back then, and it seems to be seen right now. I don't know if there's any people there in the background that are doubting this post online and thinking deeper and believing that Justin is only being positive to Candice Cooley because he has to. I think it's natural. I think it is natural. Let me know your thoughts down below. So yeah, maybe this dispels some of the rumours in the background. It is about Dylan Rounds at the end of the day, the case, how they've worked together, what's been done right, what's been done wrong, okay? That's why I'm covering it. Now, regarding talk elsewhere, such as on this case and the community, we get into that shortly. But I think it's important to acknowledge the comments from last night. Not as many to get through, but I'll still acknowledge them regardless. Last night's video, though, arguably more quiet. And we'll at least acknowledge that first of all right now, okay? It was a lot quieter last night. And arguably, the video last night was significantly more balanced than the night before, okay? Because the first bit of coverage on the situation to do with Bob Farrell, a Facebook account under his name, and reaching out to Justin, in which Justin wasn't too pleased with. Not directly this time round, because it was more reaching out to a friend of Dylan that then passed it on to Justin, but Justin has been contacted in the past by a Bob Farrell account, and so is Jazz Grolson and a few others too, and they're sick and tired of it. And Bob Farrell as well is also sick and tired because of him getting caught up in all of this mess and misunderstandings, supposedly speaking. But last night, okay, after learning a bit more and seeing it from different sides, I put that into practice and, you know, took that into consideration in the video. Unfortunately, arguably speaking, there was higher levels of whingy, whiny, bitchy, moany voices last night here and there. I don't even think Badger had enough cheese on that occasion, but that's fine. Interesting how more people weren't as whiny the night before when there wasn't as much balance compared to last night. Very interesting. But as said, the reason why some people get triggered with me is because I make valid, strong observations that I am realistically dark at times, straight to the point, which they don't like. If they have a master, if they are a slave to someone else out there, or a delusional brain-dead supporter who can't think for themselves, and some others in between, not naming anyone exactly, but it can apply to some humans out there, right? I make an observation, they don't like it, they'll show denial, they'll show resistance. It's the self-defense mechanism within the brain operating within. Could also lead to the subconscious mind and certain thoughts and opinions and feelings being suppressed all the way back to the unconscious mind. And maybe only some of those thoughts, patterns and feelings are unlocked during times of when one is asleep. Are you asleep right now? I don't know. Maybe half asleep. But regardless, the regular viewers, long-time supporters, they're on a good wavelength. They think for themselves, but they still show understanding, very patient, caring, supportive. To appreciate that. And I will timeline later with the others where it comes to that pattern of, are we seeing a shift in demands and what people want just because of where they've come from? We'll get into that later. Let's just at least acknowledge the comments from last night first. As I said, not as many people present, not as many comments left behind, so it shouldn't take as long. I think quite a few people lost stamina last night when the conversations turned from, talk about one area to then defending oneself. I guess maybe when I looked at the channel statistics, 100k, nearly 300k views within a month, within a week, etc. I think it scared a few people off that. Maybe people were intimidated by the numbers, and other people simply intimidated by the sheer stamina of godlike wrath, maybe. Okay? But that aside, let's just at least look at the comments from last night and go from there. Here we are, just adjusting it to the newest. Let's see what people have had to say. So we've got Robert Bergener saying, Robert Bergener here, most know me as Bob or Bobby. So I guess Robert can be short for Rob or Bob in a sense, or Bobby short for Bob. Okay, interesting. So any significance here? Well, there was some random stuff going on last night by the person called Org Dot. A person who currently has a profile picture of like a hand and maybe a middle finger, right? I don't know if it's a drawing or an animation of some sort, but Org has been active in recent time. Not seen him for a while, just returned back, I guess. Not quite sure why, but is Org linked with the Dylan Rounds case? I'm not too sure there. Maybe joins in from time to time to have some fun, to hang out with friends, etc. But Org seemed to have an issue with Robert Bergener. Org was not exactly advising me, but more suggesting that I take action against Robert Bergener because supposedly there was a comment, a bomb threat, that a building is wired and about to blow up. Okay, interesting. Did I see that comment? Nope. Have I seen any dodgy comments by Robert which go against YouTube TOS? No. So I don't know what that's all about. I think with Org was assuming that Robert Bergener, by saying people know me as Bob or Bobby, was maybe thinking and applying it to the fake Bob Farrell account. But at the end of the day, it might just be an unfortunate coincidence because in addition to, at the end of the day, there's more than one human out there named Bob, okay? Or Bobby, etc., etc. So with Org not being around often, Org won't understand certain people that are present here or the way things are currently, right? So sometimes you just have to do a bit of research or look back as to how things have played out. I mean, it's happened in general with time where other random people have come in, some have come, some have gone, some have returned in the future and seem to expect me to explain everything to them. And it's like, well, where you've been for the last few months, where you been for the last 2 years or so, you need to catch up. Well, the videos are there. Be a good boy. Catch up on them when you can. You get what I'm saying? Maybe sometimes there's a level of entitlement that people demand an answer immediately. People demand what's going on in the video. I mean, that person called Glass City Girl, not seen them before, I guess, welcome to the channel, new viewer. But they were briefly demanding, saying, when is this important part going to show up in the video? And it's like, Good things come to those who wait. Patience. Shh. It's almost like Fiddling Phil, the feline, also known as Phil with the top hat, okay? He was very demanding at one point, saying, Warlike Raph, tell me when you're going to talk about that moment in the video. Tell me the timestamp. I need to know right now. How about you just sit back, stop complaining, like how some of us do too, and just watch, look, listen, and learn. It's that simple. Maybe it's because people have got a degenerative attention retention span. But at the end of the day, you're going to come on in demanding, rushing things through. No wonder why you misunderstand these situations at times, because you just want to skip through it. You want to skip through it, a fast track, maybe this isn't the place for you, okay? Sometimes videos can be long, other times they can be short, but there is a process to them. And thankfully, there is an understanding with, most of the audience here, the regular viewers. And that's good to know, right? It's good to see too. By now, people should understand that when it comes to me explaining stuff, I've got to do it a certain way just because that's how it works for me. If I start changing for other people out there that issue demands, well, it's just not going to go down too well, right? I mean, I've experimented in the past where people have said, move on to another case just like that. And sometimes I have tried and I've ended up not being as accurate, or it feels like I've not nailed it, the hammer on the head of the nail, right? And if I feel a decrease in performance, well, I don't like the idea of that. It causes more harm than good. So I'll stick with what I'm doing, right? And as for viewers, new or old, those that may return back after quite some time, there is an understanding that you're probably going to know less about situations of communities, structures, communication breaking down, people showing their true colours, the lot. And returning back to Org, who won't be aware of all these people that are present on my channel, well, that's because Org isn't around long enough to know, right? So only so much can be explained here and there because, one is busy. We're moving forwards. We got it under control. We're covering stuff. We're analysing things. You want to look at the past? Well, it's all documented there. And that's exactly why I document stuff. So if you want to look back at it, you can. Videos are public. Videos are present. Comments too, which some people actually want removing or disappearing completely. That doesn't sound really practical, and we'll get to that point later on, so make sure to stick around. So when people call out Robert Bergener, as random and odd as his comments may be, and maybe they don't make much sense often, he's not caused any trouble, at least from what I'm aware of. He's not caused any trouble on my channel. So Robert Bergener does not need to be reported at this moment in time, nor does his comments need to be removed, because at least what I can see here, it's a simple, normal comment. Now, moving on, we've got Inspector Gadget saying, is activity from fake accounts responsible for most of the current interest in the ongoing Dylan Rounds case? Personally, I would say absolutely no. I wouldn't agree with that. Response-wise, oh God, IYQ2, the whingy whiner. Right, we'll get into that later. I remember, anyway. Inspector Gadgets, I'll respond back to his comment first. Shout out to Inspector Gadgets, good individual from what I've seen. So, fake accounts responsible for the ongoing discussions with Dylan? Well, you'd be assuming that the fake accounts are somewhat linked to either people directly within the case or those that have participated in the community and reference made under the fake account in the name of Dylan Rounds, I would assume. Now, in most recent time with the Bob Farrell situation, it is still linked to the Dylan Rounds case, but that's not the main point. And to be honest, I am the catalyst for covering that recently because Bob Farrell suddenly started talking and responding about it in a live stream, and so did Jim Tate individually. So there've been times where, because of my presence, it's led to somebody else doing a pop-up live stream. So when people whinge, whine, call one out saying, oh, you're running out of content. Well, to be honest, I actually think people could be copying me. That other people out there in channels are actually influenced by me because they just so happen to make a live stream shortly after my video. And as much as they can complain, get their pants in a twist, and even some of the audience members out there,
Maybe be grateful that you've received inspiration from one out there, right? Just like how outsiders out there should be somewhat appreciative and grateful that there is one out there that is analysing, documenting, and archiving key material, historical records, right? Because that can just simply disappear just like that. And it's happened in the past. And when it does, what can you do? You're screwed. How can you make references? How can you use it as evidence? How can you research? You can't quite the same way. There's a negative impact. And I've witnessed it with previous cases. I don't want that to happen again, right? So I do what I can. Anyway, in response to the fake accounts on and off, it's not as significant as you would think with the Dylan Rounds case, right? Whether it's in the name of Dylan, in the name of the case, or the community of Dylan, the community of the true crime overall. Whilst many others, right? And to be honest, that includes Jim Terry, that includes Bob Farrell, it includes Ty Corbin, it includes Earthworm Infotainment, it includes No Thanks, it includes Tyler Feller, it includes who are the other people? Queen Bee or something, or QT, or Perplexed, or Nicolina, whatever that name is, and some others, Salty Pancakes, Shack Lady, the lot. Just about everyone, basically everyone out there stopped covering Dylan Rounds, stopped talking about Dylan Rounds. And when those live streams and live panels did mention about Dylan Rounds, it was about 10 minutes worth of talking about Dylan, and then the next 4 to 5 hours talking about coffees, pumpkins, ramming poles up your arse, and talking about crows and swamps, whatever, right? It's not exactly relevant to most of the video. Whilst people can say I focus on one thing, or it's all in about a certain thing, it's because it's relevant to the title as the title is relevant to the content of the video. That's what you call consistency and depth, which other humans out there lack, okay? So I have been the only one, the last person standing covering the case, just simply because I've still come up with ideas with time. And most importantly, long-time viewers have assisted and helped with ideas and certain material too, such as the odd Montello local and some of the people in the background. I'm not mentioning names just because of, I guess, respect for people's privacy, etc. But, some will understand that, okay? So, there's been things to cover. And just like the video today, right? It's got nothing to do with fake accounts, it's got nothing to do with that. But it's got more to do with the parents and the way the structure is and the outlook of one another, which kind of counters the darkness from the past of rumours and talk in a negative way. So, there's been a process with time. Looked at it in a certain direction and a certain light, and with time picking up the pieces and trying to rearrange it, make the puzzle a bit clearer, whether it be directly in the case or just the outer part. So I think it's been under control. And I do also feel that when you take away the fake accounts, would it take away videos in the Dylan Rounds case? Not much at all, to be honest. I think you take away most of those fake accounts away, you would still see over 400 plus videos on my channel, right? So I don't think it's as much of a pivotal part as it really is, nor is it the main point for the case maybe becoming of interest in recent time, okay? What I would say from, other communities out there, the reason why Dylan Rounds may have popped up on people's radar once again isn't directly because people out there care about Dylan Rounds or just not as interested at the time. It just so happens that the tornado effect of drama, pettiness and conflict has partially drifted back into the Dylan Rounds community, not for or about Dylan, but for unrelated reasons. But just because it's gone in that direction, it seems like a lot of people are present all of a sudden once again. A resurgence in interest in the Dylan Rounds case? Wrong. That's not the case. And to be honest, besides Jim Terry with his video of a body being found and hyping that up, which I don't think it has really gone to plan, but when does it? But besides that, I said to you, and Badger Life acknowledged, such as in my community post, on my page, about a few weeks ago or so now, maybe a month, I left a post saying, do you know what? I sense that we're on the verge of people coming back or causing trouble in the case of Dylan Rounds and kind of undoing stuff and going backwards, maybe with information and talk, like what we've seen in the past. Like it was going to happen all over again, a complete bloody mess. And it was on the verge of happening. But I think what actually stopped it, what stopped the interest and the attempt of destroying and, causing disruptance to this case, the one thing that actually stopped it was some of the drama and maybe the odd falling out in the background with different channels out there, right? So the drama and conflict, part of it was already heading towards the Dylan Rounds case community, and some people were following in that direction, then briefly influenced by the case and wanting to maybe talk about it or make the odd BS reference. But then because of some other unexpected changes and breakdown in communications and changes of allegiances, that was something completely different and grabbed everyone's interest in a completely different direction for however how long it lasts. So it's kind of put it on hold for people coming back to destroy this case. It's put it on hold for now, okay? And whilst the video last night and the night before and the night before that, whenever, that I was covering in the name of Dylan Rounds, which just happened to time with Bob Farrell because it was all linked together. Yeah, you may have seen more people and some familiar faces, but maybe you won't see them often because, on that occasion, yes, it was about Dylan, but also focused on an individual that they look up to besides Dylan, just a creator or person in the community. You take that part away, that factor, and just keep in Dylan. Well, as you saw last night before, only about 2 to 8% of Summit were actually searching for Dylan Rounds. The other 20, 30, 40% were for Bob Farrell. And then on top of that, me. So you see how things go there. So of course, tonight's video may not be as noisy. It may be quiet, but that's okay. Because one thing I will know, and I don't have to think too hard, but the people watching right now and those in the background, good individuals, okay? And, those people that do watch in the background still to this day, that consistency, being able to do that. I mean, if you do want to vote or you want to interact in some ways anonymously, there are certain ways to do that. So, there's always that. But just a shout out to the people that are watching right now in general and those in the background, okay? Was there anything else to mention here? Don't think so. What's response-wise by IYQ2 saying, I'm sure that Jim Terry's live on Rumble was probably the reason people started searching my info because he pretended they found him. It was just as fake as the other clickbait headlines he makes. It's a disgrace. He continues to harass everyone. Well, it's interesting how Jim Terry gets accused of clickbait titles. Not that I'm saying it isn't true, because there have been times where Jim Terry does BS, but there are other moments where he tries to use certain wording and it's more done in an advertisement way, drumming up sales, that type of business strategy, using persuasive language, getting that hype train going. And besides him knowing what he's doing and why he's doing it, just always remember the audience, past and present, that fell for it, okay? It's okay for a person or people to call out someone out there, a creator, for being manipulative or knowing what they're doing, exploitive, and, the way they twist and change words and titles, clickbait, etc. Yes, it is bad. It's not a good look. But what about the general public, fully grown, functional humans out there, or at least have somewhat of a functional, stable IQ maybe, that fall for it over and over again? And then once they finally have realised or woken up, they walk away and it's like, oh my God, let's have like a Men in Black type memory flash loss. Well, whatever happened in the past never happened. Now let's call out that person. Just remember, you were a part of it. You fell for it, okay? People need to acknowledge the past just for that balance, stability, and more importantly, so history doesn't repeat itself. But with time, there seems to be a range of humans that ignore the past. So obviously, history will repeat itself down the line, even if it's in a different community, okay? So, interesting. So, IYQ2 is basically saying because of Jim Terry's presence, that's what has led to the the resurgence and ongoing talk about the Dylan Rounds case and interest. I'm sorry, IYQ2, but I think to an extent, take aside that about the body, I think complete bullshit. Okay, I strongly disagree here, because at the end of the day, for over 2+ years, almost every single day, I've single-handedly kept this case alive. Okay, it shows. Over 400+ videos. You go on hashtags, most of my videos are there. You take away my presence, you take away my videos, this case would have fell flat much earlier on. Okay, so you might have your research and information might need to recheck that up. Okay, because reality is there is still one standing right now and is still covering this case right now. And once again, as for the consistent viewers, the supportive people and those in the background who are still here till this day, that's very good. That's much appreciated, because I do understand that times it could sound repetitive, or to stick around with a singular case for this long, it might get a bit wearing, and yet for people to still have the stamina, that's very good. And especially some of those people that have made reference points to me, if they've gone elsewhere, that's also appreciated too. Look at Glenn, Mr. Consistent. Shout out to Glenn. We got Ron as well. Seems like a decent individual. Some funny comments as well, which is good. I don't know what FJT means. Oh, F Jim Terry. I get it. Didn't take long that time. I think Leanne last night had some Italian language, saying Bob said F you, Raf. Well, whatever. Okay, it is what it is. Cleo, interesting video. Glad you like it. Appreciate that. Hey, Skeptical. Let's see what Skeptical says. She says, was Justin Rounds meaning shit in general? It has been around for 2 years, not the fake account literally. Okay. Whoever is behind the account, fake or real, the way they're speaking does sound sketchy and weird. Justin Rounds was right to call them out as he saw it. Yeah, because Justin Rounds, I think, was also doing it just in case other contacts were reached out by a strange individual like that, or another fake person out there, and if that person was speaking on behalf of the parents or so because they've been in contact when they haven't, I don't know, these other strangers out there who are on the receiving end of it all, maybe connected to the case, the family, or the friend of Dylan, I don't know, it could lead to more confusion. It's like, why is this person reaching out to me? Do you know anything about it? If Justin Rounds publicly acknowledges what's happened, more people will know and be aware of what may happen in the future. Just like how you might be on the receiving end of something, you let other people know in other communities that it could happen to them too. So in the future, better prepared, there are more answers than questions and not as confusing, right? So being prepared in the future can most definitely help. Skeptical says, if this is Dylan's friend, shouldn't we assume he's the same age as Dylan, which would now be an adult? A kid reference could be used by a person older than someone else to demonstrate age, lack of experience, or protection of. He's just a kid, leave him alone. Yes, exactly. That's what I think in that point reference there. But the bit at the beginning, the question, was Justin Rounds meaning shit in general when it comes to the case? So not just that particular fake Bob Farrell account, but the other fake people reaching out with saying that, right, we've got intel that Dylan is held or went to Mexico, which was a load of rubbish, and others reaching out saying, well, we believe Dylan Rounds was abducted by aliens or Bigfoot. Is that what Justin Rounds is referring to as shit there too? Maybe as a whole. I mean, Candice Cooley has made, talked about it as a whole, saying a range of stuff with time. Justin Rounds did, in that documentary, round up people in a holistic way. Not exactly any names mentioned, but making it seem like he couldn't stand anyone on YouTube, which I think is a bit far-fetched. I think Justin Rounds doesn't mind the odd YouTuber on there, whether it be No Thanks at a point in time, back when Candice Cooley was on his panel, because Justin Rounds approved of it and was quite positive in the end, despite initial first impressions being negative. And even if Justin Rounds approves of Ty Corbin, Lance Kelly for just searching out their boots on ground, well, I'm sure Justin Rounds would approve of their videos too, up to a point in time. So I think Justin Rounds was just speaking a bit recklessly when he labelled all YouTubers, the platform itself, being a problem in the case, when it hasn't. It's actually helped keep the case alive. But of course, with time, that's been acknowledged. Just like how, in a sense, on a consistent basis from different key contacts with Candice Cooley, have acknowledged that Candice Cooley approves of this channel, the video coverage, which is good to see and appreciated as well. Anything else to mention here? Been around for 2 years. So yeah, Justin Rounds could be speaking in general here about more than just that fake account. There's been other stuff as well, unrelated. But it wouldn't surprise me if there was a particular fake account or so which has been around for quite some time. If that really was the case, then as for the motive behind it, it must be a deeper reason and motive to pretend to be someone for so long, when other times we've seen the shelf's lifespan only lasts for maybe a month or two, and then the next victim is targeted. We got Ron saying, I lurk too, but I'm not faking it. Fair enough. You know, just like your natural scarf around your neck. Last but not least, we got Christy saying, if I remember well, the main reason why the story of Dylan being gay even started was that Kurt was spotted wearing female clothing, and the fact that he came out immediately after Dylan's disappearance telling the story of Dylan being held captive and that only he would be able to solve the case. He acted like some sort of protector of Dylan, what led to think that maybe Kurt was grooming him and so on. I still remember till this day that early to mid-range days where Heavy D, Lance Kelly, Ty Corbin were in Bald Eagle Mountain Range and the Nevada side, and they were going into one of the mine shafts, and there was a point where Lance Kelly and Heavy D both agreed and labelled Kurt Wadsworth as grooming Dylan Rounds. And when I showed that clip in my video, some people lost their shit and started getting all resistant with me, like the likes of Tucker, another random person called Graham, then another person, then another person. I'm like, why does it concern you so much, right? If Kurt Wadsworth supposedly groomed Dylan. It's not coming from me. It's coming from them. You got a problem with me? You should be taking it up with the people that said it in the first place. But oh no, people don't do that. Silly humans. But besides that, it seemed to trigger a nerve. So unless we're getting too close to the truth there, you never know. But I can understand it if Kurt Wadsworth comes out as well, emotional too. Seems very caring about Dylan and close. Showing emotion, showing a form of closeness, some kind of bond. Yeah, maybe you could think, maybe there is something going on there. Maybe people wouldn't jump to that conclusion as quick as if in a different scenario, Kurt was the same age as Dylan. Then people might think, oh, maybe it might seem more believable, a gay relationship because of same age. But because of that age gap, people may not quite believe in it immediately or think to that idea. But, you know, it eventually came about. And also, I think the people within the case community, some of which really drove it home, such as Jim Terry, really pushing the idea. Was that because of self-projection of oneself, maybe? I don't know. It's like some people out there wanted it to be true, wanted Dylan to be gay. Why does it matter? Why does it matter to them? Is it because they want a piece of Dylan? Just sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? Right? I mean, you can understand that some might have looked at a different theory, an idea, a concept that if you were a certain way with a certain someone and others didn't agree with it within the environment or community, you could be casted aside, kicked out of the community, or taken out because of shame or guilt felt within a family. But that didn't seem to be the case here in the end, did it? Some people tried to push that idea, but I don't think it really worked out there. But yeah, as for the gay theory, it dragged on for quite some time, didn't it? Okay? And it goes on and off with time. Interesting. Is that it for the comments? Yes, that appears to be it. Moving on, the key thing that I wanted to talk about right now is in regards to my channel and how some people perceive it with times. Now, just take in mind before people show misunderstanding, what I'm about to say is not in relation to full-on, regular, consistent viewers and supporters of this channel. It's not in relation to those. It can be in relation to others out there, but not specifically named because that would cause more troubles than it's worth. As I said, this can apply past, present, future,
And when I see a pattern, when I sense what could happen next, I make a prediction. And it's now time to make a prediction. So whilst one can grow in numbers, in stats, maybe become more well known, right? Yes, you can become more of a target, so bad things happen, but equally for other reasons too, right? If you become a platform, a hub, seen as a voice for the voiceless, or supposedly, that can be exploited down the line. If you just so happen to cover missing person cases, it can become a bidding war, the tug of war, where people come in and maybe emotionally blackmail or manipulate you into feeling sorry about them or someone, so then you cover a case, but not in a natural way. But when you want to cover a case in a natural way because of pure, genuine interest, if you don't show that same level elsewhere, you're going to be labeled as a bad human, right? And that just because you grow as a channel and you become more well known, it seems to be a form of entitlement that people can just come on in and demand for their voice to be heard, right? You know, like, if you got like a big channel, millions, 2 million subscribers and views as well, you'd be more well known. And people will instantly think, some out there, that they can just come on and just say what they think and demand to be heard and listened to and maybe interviewed as well. It's like, whoa, 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 calm down. Don't get ahead of yourself, right? That's what the problem is with some out there. Just in time, with time, people can get a bit ahead of themselves. And like with certain topics and cases, it can lead to certain actions by people. So the tug of war when it comes to cases, no, cover this case, Raf, no, cover that case, but in an unnatural way. People are patient on this channel, regular viewers, which is good, and people do make some valid suggestions, and I do take them into account when I can, and in time when I can, I look into them, right? So I'm just finishing off what I'm doing here, and as well Kenny Reach too, because there is some backlog of ideas there that need to be looked at. But I have seen other times where people may have just rushed on in, strangers, random people, to just see the channel and think, oh, well, more developed, right, you cover this, you cover that. It's like, you know, I need to cover what I'm interested in, first of all, so I do a good job at it. And second of all, you know, the case, does it match what I can do and what I can cover? Is it practical? There's different reasons behind it, right? Just because one person doesn't cover a case, it's not the end of the world. There might be another person out there that will cover it, right? Look at Dylan Rounds now. Most people, as for creators and people like that, have walked away from this case for numerous reasons, right? At the time, it was considered, oh, well, there's a range of people covering it, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, maybe I'll just walk away because other people are covering it. Oh, I'll just walk away because people are still covering it. Well, look at it now. Hardly anyone's covering it, just me. So in the end, it tied in line and worked well with me being consistent because at least I was still here, up to a point in time at least, right? So there's that to be acknowledged there. Anything else? Well, we need to move on to the next key point, okay? Whether it was made clear or not beforehand. I think the pattern, what I've noticed, okay, I'm going to be realistic to you right now. It doesn't so much involve whether someone has a default profile or not, or zero content on their channel, but it comes under certain categories. Some of the most critical people and whingiest, whiniest people that bitch on and come here from time to time are the biggest freeloaders out there. What gives them the right to demand for this or for that to be added, changed, or removed? They have no right, okay? In a circumstance where a long-time consistent person said, could you look into this or could you look into that? Could you at least spread my name across here to get the awareness going in my innocence? Or can you just at least acknowledge me here or give a shout out? Or can you maybe cover a different female topic here and there as a brief video or so? Or could you possibly do a light-hearted video? If someone suggested that in a polite way, and after the amount of support they've shown, it's the least I can do, sure. I'll do a video or I'll try and do something to help, yeah. But when you get these freeloaders that have done absolutely fuck all, okay, within this channel and community, and on top, especially those that don't even contribute to the case as for ideas or natural talk, all they do is just whinge, whine, complain, or critique me. Well, if they come on in and demand or expect change, they're going to get fuck all. they're completely least deserving of it, right? I mean, high levels of entitlement, right? Isn't that true? I think what doesn't help is when you get outsiders, when you get third-party rejects and others that come on over here after where they've been and what they've experienced, right? Their experience with live channels, live call-ins, live panels, mods, right? And other stuff as well. But they expect that when they come here, it should be catered to them the same way and welcome too. Get lost. Get real. Get realistic. Get a grip. Okay? We're not fucking about here, right? When we've got to lock on, we're going to lock on, right? So when people come on in, random ones, and maybe, people that have returned from the dead, whatever, and say, well, like, Raf, you need to block that person. You need to remove that person. Get fucked, okay? That person you want blocked, okay? You got a problem with them, sort it out yourself. You've got the option, you got the tool, right? People criticize Badger Life at times, for whatever reason. Badger Life has blocked people. It helps them. It helps them learn and focus with what really matters and what's more important. The Dylan Rounds case, a missing person case. Badger Life takes that somewhat serious at times. Badger Life still has a sense of humour at times. But for other humans out there to get triggered or frustrated as to why Badger Life has blocked people, does it really matter? Badger Life has took it upon themselves to remove a problem, to reduce an issue, to help them themselves so they can still be comfortable here, right? And also focus in on the case. They took action themselves. Did it impact anybody else? No, right? So even if Badger Life and some others here and there that have blocked people, if not everyone, whoever it is, does it matter? It shouldn't, because at the end of the day, I'm not blocking this person or that person outright, full on all the time, am I? Okay? I'm not going on a mass blocking spree, because if I did, then really no one could see anyone, right? If you went really all in there. But when a viewer blocks another viewer in this chat, all it means is that you just won't be able to see one another, or one won't be able to see the other, right? And that's it. But everyone else can, and everyone else can communicate onwards. Problems can be sorted between one another, or more so one-sided, without others getting dragged down in the process. As soon as general public, whoever it is, strangers, randoms, whatever, come on in here and demand for me to block someone or silence someone in such a forceful way, so then it has a negative impact on everybody else that's present, that just seems a bit too demanding and unnecessary. If you can't stand someone in this chat, you block them. You can continue the conversations with everyone else without being in the presence of that one individual you can't stand, right? So it fixes the problem. And that's what people have already done on my channel. So then when all these other people that may not know the context or haven't been around since, they come back and like, oh, what's wrong here? Basically, reality is, there might be some viewers here and there that can't stand you. They took direct action, didn't cause many problems, they did what they needed to do, and are okay. So why should it really impact you, whether they've blocked you or not? They've done it for an obvious reason. To be honest, you should be grateful, in a sense, that regular viewers or so may have blocked some people out there, right? Could have been worse off. Because where some people have come from and stuff, and other communities out there, people wouldn't have just simply blocked the other person. They would have gone on a mass report, strike spree, and really tried slicing someone down, or even getting more personal in real life, or phoning up one another in the background and phoning businesses, workplaces. Doesn't happen here. People aren't that toxic or nasty, right? Most people here, if they can't stand someone, they'll just simply block, move on, and continue watching. Pretty harmless, right? Be grateful for that. But you're not on the receiving end of something more nasty, somewhere where you may have come from, where other people are known to do that. At least appreciate that. So I understand Badger Life at times, her outlook, right? And some of the people that could be present or once present, I get that. And obviously with time, as I've seen,
from the likes of others out there that have reached out to me saying that, you know, they've been spoken behind the backs of the odd other individual out there that's also shown their true colours towards me as well. So yeah, take that into mind, into note too. Now, besides people coming on in telling me who I should block and who I shouldn't, which seems very demanding, especially from freeloaders, especially those out there, the other people that come on in and say, we need mods, or mod me, or, and I'm not talking about the people that joke about in a light-hearted way. I mean the people that are demanding that we need mods, we need law, we need order. What the hell do you think this is, some kind of courthouse? Get a grip of yourself. We're not going to have mods here, okay? Where you come from, there may be mods. And that's already the downfall of a channel and a community. Having mods causes more problems than it's worth, right? You can appoint someone as a mod, well then instantly it's going to cause some kind of disruption in the chat, thinking, why are you picking and choosing that person or this person? Is it a form of favoritism? So then that already creates almost like a mutiny mindset of what's really going on here in the background. And then once you have appointed people, just, you know, whether it's by accident or you don't really know those people in the end, they might like the idea of being a mod. Power gets to their head. They take control and censor anyone they don't like, right? I'm going to give you an example right now. It's not the best, and I don't exactly mean it, but it's the only one I can use on the spot. So, Badger Life, I don't think you would. I don't sense you would, because, you know, you clearly got control of yourself and you know what you're doing. But I'm just going to use you as an example. It's not like a true example, but you know what I mean? I'm just using it on the spot to try and make sense of stuff, right? In a situation of a mod situation, right? If Badger Life just so happens to have many people blocked because you don't get on well with them, if in the circumstance or situation, hypothetically speaking, if I appointed Badger Life as a mod on my channel, then maybe just about everyone would be blocked and no one would be able to comment, right? I'm not saying that that's what Badger Life would do, but I'm just basing it on the, you know, hypothetically speaking, with Badger Life blocking many people with time for her own reasons, if her own personal reasons coincided with her having the power of being a mod to silence everyone so then no one can see anyone, then that would fall back on me. It would make me look bad. It would harm the channel. It would harm the credibility, and a lot of people would fall out and have a big whine fest and complain and get angry, right? As said, I don't truly think that Badger Life would do that, but I'm just basing it on the characteristics of, if just in a general situation, right, as you've seen elsewhere, you have someone as a mod and they take it too far or are very strict, maybe you're aware of it or not at the time, and some people in the chat saying, why did this person block me? Why did you block me? And then it responds back with, well, I didn't know. Oh, it must be the mod. Or I'll try and reach out. Oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Just all kinds of arguments, complete downfall, complete mess, complete disaster, okay? Complete catastrophe. That's why I won't have mods here. And on top of that, because I feel to an extent that people should be able to control themselves to an extent, and that if anyone does mess up or play out, so what? It's documented. Live chat, live replay, live comments. You can look back. You want to see a fake account? It's there, it's documented. You want to see an insult by someone? It's there, documented. You want to see a two-faced bitch at times? It's documented. It's present. You can always look back at it. All under control. Other people out there that want to full on censor comments and block people and block this, block that, how can you refer back to it as evidence when it's no longer there? You can't. So when I've seen recent time people coming on in here demanding we need mods, get stuffed, okay? These people that come on in and demand for changes on my channel could translate to basically they've got poor standards themselves and they want to see the downfall of yet another channel. I'm not going to let a cancer infestate here, right? Jim Terry, Mr. X tried in the past. It didn't work. Okay, let's not try and get into that accent now. But, you know, wanting to come onto a live panel, a live channel, an interview, whatever, you see how it's gone with everybody else out there. It's gone bad, it's gone wrong, right? But you let them on, and then somehow you end up being controlled, or you become a slave, or you end up relying on them or bow down to them. Not going to happen here. Didn't let that happen. Why should I let this happen? Why should I let that happen, right? It's just simply an update, right, for outsiders as to how things stand and how things are. When I say it's under control,
it's under control. When people come on in and demand for this or demand for that, that will lead to things not being under control and more unstable. Is that what you really want? Maybe there's some people out there trying to purposely cause disruption, and others that just don't think at all. But you know, these patterns can extend and some could escalate in the future, right? If I do grow or if this channel becomes well known or more well known, it could bring in more people. It could bring in more darkness. You never know, but you know, just keep it as it is right now. And viewers on this channel, regular people, know what to do or the actions or methods to follow when there is trouble or when they don't quite get on well with somebody. There are tools, there are methods there. It's fine, normal. But I just wanted to do this observation because I started picking up on it in recent time. It tends to happen where you might get a wave of new people or some from a different community that have seen things a different way, and they have that entitlement that it should be happening here too. It's just the equivalent of basically when you get people that move or in whichever way to a different country and then demand for buildings and stuff to be built for them, to represent them or to represent their religion. It's like, why should we bow down to you? If you don't like it, don't stay here, okay? Because if you try doing the same thing to their country, their origins, they'll get beheaded. So, you know, why is one thing allowed but the other thing isn't? But the entitlement is there from those outsiders, right? So, yeah, will some people jump onto the bandwagon and say, oh, label, yours is false information, whatever. Not going to work. That's it. Uncontrolled, simple as. The belt is next to me, which maximizes that it's under control, but in a natural way. And people here, regular viewers, can think for themselves and can make their own decisions accordingly, which is also good to see too, because you don't always get that elsewhere, right? So I think that's it for now. If you did join late, you want to rewind back to the beginning, specifically about Justin Rounds and his outlook on Candice Cooley and the Dylan Rounds case, how's that been handled? Feel free to rewind, catch up there, and catch up on the previous videos if you want to. Ideally, this video shouldn't really directly apply to maybe some people, but people seem to bring it upon themselves that this video links to them or something that I'm not aware of. Then maybe there's a deeper subconscious reason as to actions or opinions voiced by others out there, which I'm not aware of. And if you want to open up, feel free to leave a comment down below. But that's it for now. Goodbye, good night. I'll see you next time, whatever happens around the corner.